Okay, we're back. Continue.
But not streaming.
Nope.
Okay. I forget where I was. Anyway, yeah.
We're talking
They
about
about,
the Germans
the
and
I did the mark. I did the call out mark, and then like two guys who weren't even in my squad started shooting where I had pointed. And I was like, oh, okay, so something's working. Or unless that enemy position was really obvious, and they were just shooting there anyways. But yeah, so far it's Battlefield, World War II Battlefield again. They added a lot more animations for the soldiers though, so you can now, like before, you would see people dive prone, and you could prone in that direction, but now you can also prone on your back, which like took adjustments because I would see people go prone on their backs, and I would think, oh, they're dead, and then they shoot me. They were not dead; they were very much alive.
When would that be useful to you?
I just want to say,
that blast out that you have to dodge by doing that.
I think it's just like before you could only dive forward. Mm-hmm. So if you were moving backwards, your prone animation just looked weird. But now I guess it's a bit quicker too because I feel it's more natural. I have no idea. But it is really neat to see after a while. I was like, oh yeah, like you can prone in any direction. You see people fall down on their side and then start shooting at you. It's like, wow, that was really neat. I'm dead, but I admire that was really cool. And then the other thing that happens occasionally, like a wall near you will explode because someone detonated dynamite or something on it, and you won't die. You'll lose some of your health, and there'll be this crazy dramatic first person oh, I was hit by an explosion, but then you're still there, and it's like, that was kind of neat. I'm not sure. I mean, I imagine if you are able to get out of that, then you can have these cool action hero moments, but so far just oh, that's neat that I'm still alive. Usually I die immediately afterwards, so I am not good at the game, but it is fun. So that was one I got. Then I also got Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, the new Pokemon game for Switch.
Why didn't you get Eevee?
I was going to get Eevee, but I asked my daughter which one she wanted. And when it was first announced, she was like, oh, Eevee. But recently, she's gotten into Pikachu for some reason. And so when I asked her the day before it came out, she's like, oh, Pikachu. I was like, okay, I guess we're getting Pikachu.
Well, accounting for taste, I guess.
And then, yeah, so I got the bundle that comes with the Pokeball controller. Playing the game, the actual game with it, is not that great. It only has 2 buttons versus a Switch controller, which has 6 buttons, 7 buttons maybe. And so sometimes there are things that are less intuitive to do because it's the actual button on the ball is a control stick, which you can also click, and that's confirm and select. And then the button on the top of the ball is cancel, and then it just says for anything else, just shake the controller. It's like, okay.
Sure.
And so it's it feels kind of weird to use. The coolest part about it is that the ball you can use with Pokemon Go, the mobile game, and you can you don't need to look at your phone. You just run around and just push the button every time it flashes and catch Pokemon out in the wherever you're walking around. I don't actually play the game though, so this has been really awesome for my wife and daughter because they're playing it right now. They're super into the Switch game and using the ball out there to play Pokemon Go as well. From what I've played of the actual game proper, I guess it's the original Pokemon game, but
yeah, 'cause I think it's supposed to be in the Kanto.
Yeah, I've never played any of them. I saw my.
Oh my gosh!
Wow, Tropical, add it to the list. Add it to the list.
It's true. That doesn't even make any sense. Not a single Pokemon game.
I'm not a gamer, and I've played them.
Burned by the casual tropical.
Well, they came out when I was not in this country.
There's no excuse for that because they're not American games to begin with.
That's true, but like they weren't in English where I lived, and so my
Like
brother
3 or 4
played.
different languages.
We did. I knew one language at the time,
I just your excuses.
possibly
Bob.
two.
I just your excuses.
I could only read one language at the time, and it was
Did
English.
not know. Pick up, me.
Well, like at the time, so my brother got Yellow. Like that was the first one I ever saw. But it was on the original Game Boy, and it's not really a system that you can like watch someone else play over their shoulder. It's a very small screen. But so I've seen it a little bit, but that was it. And yeah, playing this one now, I was like, oh yeah, like this reminds me of that really old one, except everyone is like regular anime size, and everything is 3D, and I guess they took out all the grinding. So before, when you catch wild Pokemon, you have to like beat them into submission, I guess, before you can catch them. Now there's none of that. You just like they replaced it with the Pokemon Go mechanic, where you just repeatedly throw Pokemon balls at them until they stay in one of them.
What? How is that even fun?
Anime
dogfighting is like half the fun of Pokemon. To take that away.
The whole premise of the world is weird, right? It's like, oh, we love our Pokemon. It's like, well, what do you do with them? Well, we take them to battle other Pokemon. It's like, and they like this? Like, yeah, they love this. And like,
They would die for it. Quite literally in some cases.
Do any of, like, in the game they only faint. Do any of them die in the game?
I mean, not technically, but they're ghost Pokemon, so clearly something had to die.
It's very weird. But, yeah, the technology stuff is interesting to me. It's like, today, so their team of Pokemon downstairs are around level 20-something, and most of them are lower, and they're just, because you don't have the grinding, the battles, it's like, well, how are you supposed to level up your Pokemon? And they get experience from catching Pokemon. I don't know why. And then battling, like, the trainers that are just standing out in the wilderness, and then, like, the gym bosses, right? But, like, catching them is hard, since it's not random encounters anymore. You wait for them to spawn on the map, and you see them, and you run and try to like engage them in capture battle or whatever.
Wait, time out. So when you're just throwing the Pokeballs to like randomly catch them, is it just a random chance you catch them, as opposed to like before when it was like getting their health bar low and then using the right type of ball?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't understand the mechanics. It's like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You do have like berries and stuff that you can feed them, and they say that the berries like make them slightly easier to catch.
Is this the game or the Pokemon Go app?
This is the Switch game.
So I think the game is still similar to the app then.
Yeah, like the capture part is like the app.
Well, I know in the app there's like a green dot that gets smaller and smaller, and you basically have to get it close to the center to catch it, and then it is honestly randomized in my opinion.
That's in the Switch game too, but like even if you get an excellent throw where it's like right, I guess the perfect time to throw the ball, sometimes it doesn't work and sometimes it does.
That's why I said I think it's randomized.
Talk about downgrade. It's like I was all on board of like everything you were saying, Tropical. It's like, oh man, it's like the old versions.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
And
he's like, LOL. It's nothing like
when you
the
go to
game.
catch a Pokemon, you might not get your Pokemon, even though you should get them. It's like,
and then on top of that, you don't get to battle or anything now. So
and no gameplay. Yeah, it's like, where's the game go? Where's the game?
Well, yeah. So now you only have battle with the trainers. You don't have any battle with like wild ones.
That was half the fun. It's
like taking the soul out of a JRPG. It's like, hey, you like this thing that makes this is like this the way you like it. We took that out. Have fun. I mean, it still got it in there, just not as much. So we took like half the beef off your sandwich or something.
Not my sandwich.
Oh man, it is totally like a "where's the beef" thing analogy. It's like, where's the beef? It's still there, just gym leaders and whatever the else people said. 2 things.
Now, when you do finally get to battle, though, is it still like? Oh wait, you've never played the game, so you don't know how battles work.
It is how I assume those old games were based on, I've existed in the culture, so I've seen it before. I've just never played them. Like, you have attacks, and then each one can learn like 4 moves or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like that. I assume the battles are the same for the most part.
So how do you like? Yeah, I don't like this. I just don't like this.
Well, so what we discovered yesterday was that you can take one of the Pokemon in your party or in your Pokemon box. That was an item I never knew existed. Like, instead of balls, there's like a box where you store all your extras. It's like, how does all this technology work? Anyways, you can transfer one of your creatures into the Pokemon Ball controller, and then just go outside and like walk around with it, and it gets XP like that. And I guess it's a lot, because I took one out for 3 hours today, came back, synced it up, and it was like, went from level 10 to level 21. Just like that. I was like, wow, that was way faster than the other things we've been doing.
So then, do they like learn the moves too, or is just like they start with their 4 moves and they're just kind of done? And
so I think what happens is that it just like accumulates XP on the ball, and then when you sync it up, it just gives XP to the character in the game, and then so you watch them gain each level, and then if they get like a new move, then you get the chance to say, I want to learn this one and forget something else.
Oh, okay.
And then that one actually evolved during this whole thing. I was like, that was
Which Pokemon
way
was
easy.
it?
It was the red dragon thingy, the tiny one.
So he does not know the name of these things. I am.
The first time I encountered them, all the names were in Japanese too. So.
Oh my goodness! There's just nothing but excuses with you, is there? Nothing but excuses.
So on the full Pokeball that you get XP for stuff, like, can you only use one at a time?
One Pokeball?
Yeah.
Or yes.
Okay, because I was about to say, you could totally just like cheat the system on that and just like carry a bunch of them with you everywhere you go.
No,
like, oh yeah, Pokemon power.
You only do one at a time, and it comes with. I remember there was an interview where they talked about the ball controller, and the guy who came up with it was like, it'd be sad if it's just this empty ball controller. So they put Mew inside of it. So you get Mew out of the box. The controller has a speaker too. It makes sounds. It makes the original like Game Boy monster sounds. It's like, that's neat. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played much, but I've heard Pokemon sounds all day for a few days, so I guess somebody likes it. Very exciting. No, mostly I've been playing Tetris Effect. It's so good. I really like the ending of the game, which is weird. But yeah, I've been trying to get through expert mode. But it's too fast. So we will see in a few weeks. See if I get better and I can get to the end of expert mode. There was like they do events during the weekends. This weekend was like there's a target block on the screen and you gotta clear it as many times as you can. The most I ever got was 12 clears. Oh, because it's timed. You have 1 minute to clear it as many times as you can. And sometimes it starts out, the block is always on the bottom row, but then as you progress, as you clear more and more of them, it moves up. So I would always get to where it was on the 3rd row, and you would build in a way that isn't how you would typically build in order to clear it as quickly as possible. It's pretty cool. And there was like a community goal that everyone had to like contribute up to a certain number of points, and then all these avatars and stuff were unlocked, so
Talking
I
about
think
the
I'm going to
Tetris
be playing that. Tetris
Mhm.
is so good.
I remember playing Tetris on my flip phone.
I think, I don't know if I've seen one of those.
It was one of my favorite games on the flip phone.
Second, Tetris Effect.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because that does exist now.
It is really neat. It's like, as basic as Tetris can be in the modern era, and yet it just, the way they made it just feels like something really special. It's just like how everything reacts with the music and sounds, and the sort of flow of the game feels totally different than traditional Tetris, where it's just like,
Yeah.
old Tetris is about, okay, this is a little bit easy. Oh, it's getting a little bit harder. And then it gets to the point where, like, either you can play it or you can't. It's just going so fast. And this one, just having the different musical interludes and having the speed of the game vary along with the sort of atmosphere of the game, it's just like really amazing. I showed it to a friend during the weekend that the demo was out, and he was like, "Oh, this is so cool. Do you know if they're going to make a Bejeweled like this?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Well, my wife really likes Bejeweled, and she would a Bejeweled." Like, he was really impressed by it, which surprised me, because I think most people would just look at it and say, "Yeah, it's Tetris with music and stuff." And I've seen lots of people saying that the music isn't that good. But yeah, he was like, "Oh wow, this is really amazing," and he wanted Bejeweled, and it was like,
It's like, you, sir, get out of my house.
well, it was interesting. I was like, "Huh, is that? Do you think that Tetris Effect will inspire not copycats necessarily, but other people looking at, they made a classic, well explored puzzle game, and they just made it more beautiful and like
It could
presentation wise better than anything
that
else." Like,
would require lots of effort, and those other titles you just mentioned kind of just are like, let's try to get it the easy way through microtransactions and milking it.
well, Bejeweled doesn't have microtransactions, does it?
I mean, if there's not any free-to-play version that exists of it, that's just like, here's the game, here's some skins, whatever. Or just, like charging for like dumb aesthetic stuff. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like the intention would be there from the creators to like do that for
That's true.
the sake of making it awesome like Tetris Effect. It's like, I think they're more driven by profit and greed, so probably not.
But, there is probably value in being the most popular.
I mean, that being said, it's like Luminous didn't exist 20 years ago when Tetris came out, so it's like Luminous is pretty new, or Lumines, or however it's pronounced, whatever. It's like pretty new in the genre, so it's like it might inspire more games of the type, or that variety, or that style or aesthetic, where it has like more going on for it than just like blocks and clearing blocks and lines and stuff.
Well, I'm thinking more like cash-ins, where, like, I'm assuming there's really talented artists working at these places that crank this sort of stuff out. And I'm wondering, like, does it require... I don't think they can do it on the level of Tetris Effect, where it just feels like somehow this is a really special version of Tetris. They're going to make these really beautiful versions of Bejeweled that are like that, but they won't, I guess, have the soul of Tetris Effect. I don't know. I don't know if that'll happen. It would be interesting, though. Yeah, I went back to Lumines after playing Tetris Effect, and I think there is sort of a simplicity to Tetris that makes that game so much better than Lumines. Lumines is sort of... it's complicated to play.
I agree, dude. Like, I played Luminous, and everyone was like gushing all over it, and I was like, I don't get it. I'm confused. What's going on? But the tutorial, studying it, I was like, you know what? Not for me.
Like Tetris is easier to feel like, oh wow, I'm doing like really amazing stuff right now. And Lumines is like most of the game you're just like building and you're not really sure like, well, is it doing well? Am I doing well? Should I be building this way? I mean, I'm not getting game over, so I guess it's okay. Maybe I just haven't played it enough. So yeah, Tetris Effect. Highly recommended. But that is all I've been playing.
Wonderful. Well, my gaming week has been fairly light, so I haven't done anything remotely remarkable. So I've just mostly been playing Valkyria Chronicles 4 and just power leveling my soldiers. So I got a few of the classes up to Elite. And then other than that, just Kingdom Hearts. Lots and lots of Kingdom Hearts. So
can't wait. Did you see that trailer? They're like playing that in theaters apparently.
I have not been to a movie theater in like since Infinity War.
I was about to say RPG, Infinity War.
Wow.
That was probably the last one.
And then before that,
Did you ever watch Last Jedi Netflix RPG? Because you totally failed us with your tweet review.
Oh yeah, I was supposed to.
I was looking
that.
forward to that for a long time, man. Were you on
Nobody
Team Taken or Tropical, and you never did it?
Nobody reminded me, and I forgot. So I will.
I'm just saying.
I'll save it on my list.
Totally
so
watched
that way
Black Panther, but no Last Jedi.
But that's because Netflix recommended it to me, so I don't. I forgot about it. Leave me alone. I'll watch it. Watch it.
I said that 6 months ago.
Okay, I'll actually do it. I'll do it this week.
Well, I guess there's no Star Wars movie this December, so yeah, you'll be making up for the movie that we're not seeing, being Tropical.
I apologize. I'm sorry, everyone.
Watch RPG, watch The Last Jedi.
I mean, that's basically what happened with all the Star Wars movies so far. So.
Is that how you've been playing RPGs?
But yeah, it's
mostly very light week for RPG.
It was. I'm trying to keep myself limber.
Okay, go next.
Okay, well, honestly, not including these last 2 weeks, I haven't played the video games for like 4 years.
Oh my.
Let's see. I recently played Assassin's Creed number 2 for a good 15 minutes. Like, that was pretty fun until I realized how complex those controls were. It was ridiculous. You get to press R2 to get even more commands. I was like, okay, I'm done with this. Tried out Bloodborne next. My brother really recommended that.
Wait, he recommended Bloodborne to someone who... never mind.
It was pretty entertaining at the beginning, but again, I only played like 15 minutes of it. I kept dying, so I got bored with it. And then I also played Need for Speed, Most Wanted. I really like racing games. They're a lot of fun. Played that for about 20 minutes, and then got bored and moved on to Rayman Legends. Chris showed me that, and that's a lot of fun. It reminds me a lot of Super Mario Bros. With the gaming style. So that's really why I liked it a lot, and I've been playing that. Also tried out that Worms game. That's pretty much it for my gaming experience this week.
Have you ever played WarioWare before?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Tekken, you might want to show her that, because based on how she was, I was like, that might actually work.
Which version of it?
That's a good question.
The most easily accessible.
I was just about to say, it depends on which, I guess, console, most recent one you have. That.
So, wait.
Probably
I
like
don't have Wii U though. So
the DS one then.
I think there's a DS one that was before that.
Okay. But I have the Wii one.
You have the Wii one?
version, yes. I was thinking you said Wario Land, not WarioWare, and I was like, oh,
No.
WarioWare. I do have that game on the Wii because it was fun. You had to do that thing where you didn't blow, but you were making motions where you were blowing or fanning something with air. That was a fun time.
Not games recently, but I know two that I've actually followed through and played all the way was the very first Assassin's Creed, in like 2008, I believe it was, and then Dragon Age 2, but that was for PC.
Oh, we talked about your Dragon Age 2.
Oh, yes, we've heard. We've heard.
That was fun. I really enjoyed that one. All the choices you can make and stuff.
And the Gales.
Wait, yeah, Tekken did not mention to us the choices part. He just mentioned the
She
Gale.
never brought up the choices. All the elves.
He made sure to emphasize that you were
but it was
into
also
elves.
entertaining that I could have different choices. Like, I could be rude if I wanted to the people.
Yeah, he made sure to tell us that you were really into the gay elves. There's a lot of emphasis on that.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was Tumblr that got me into it because on Tumblr, people kept reblogging pictures, and I was like, this seems interesting. Let's go find out what this is, and I enjoyed it, so I played the whole thing through.
I'm just saying, like, that's what you got you to the end, because, like, you got into it because of it, and then you're like, oh yeah, elf romance, and then you got through the game and do that.
Yep. Not gonna lie, that's true.
I mean, hey, whatever gets you through. Whatever gets you through.
Right.
Okay.
Assassin's Creed, the first one, I enjoyed the whole game itself. I liked it was simple back then, the controls are really simple. I also
That's
really
just what
liked the
it's
eagle
about.
dive and stuff like that. That was really enjoyable.
Wait,
Now, do you
Compared to
like
two,
open
though.
world games in general, or just that one specifically because of the setting?
Are you talking about Assassin's Creed?
I think your mic. Wait. I think your mic
They cut out.
there.
Oh, I think our mic cut out.
Repeat the thing about the Assassin's Creed. Or wait, what did you say?
No, I was asking if he was talking about the Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, the Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, does open world game mean anything to you?
No, I didn't understand what that meant.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
See, the way we describe games as gamers is
that
weird.
like what is that game that my brother was playing?
So-
The Dead game with the horses?
The
Red
dead
Dead?
game.
Red
Yeah,
Dead.
Red Dead
Oh, I was
Redemption.
like,
That's open world as well.
it's not very specific.
Okay. Well, Tekken got it, so it was specific enough. I don't know. Like that Red Dead Redemption game, my brother was playing it and it seemed fun, but honestly, only because I could ride the horses around. I probably wouldn't really follow the actual gameplay. And like, I only got through 15-20 minutes of Assassin's Creed 2. So, I guess it's just rare occasions that I like open world games.
It's interesting. Like, I guess I didn't play most of the first Assassin's Creed, but I thought the controls were kind of the same as the second one.
No, I mean, well, I don't know, because Assassin's Creed 2 is. I mean, I think there's a slight bit more going on.
Oh yes, there is.
Like, I remember there's more variety in what you do, but I don't remember the controls being significantly more complicated. I don't know.
Yes.
I might be wrong.
Yes, there because
It was?
you didn't have to press R2 to get another bunch of actions like jump and glide and all that kind of stuff. It was just the main 4 kind of thing that you had to use, and then the R2, L2, L1, stuff like that. But now you like press L1, you get a set, and then R2, and you get a set, and it's like, I was like, okay, that's way too much.
Yeah, because I think, and also with the gadgets and everything too, because
Yeah.
and all the
I
other
guess
stuff
that's
going
true.
on, so
But yeah, like, I think they were both based on what they called the puppeting system, right? Where it was like, X is your leg stuff, so it's for like jumping and parkouring, and then holding R2 or L2 or something like that was it changed the profile, like you would be like walking or running, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okie dokie, well, I guess we can go in from that into the weekly segment. So, Tropical, would you like to intro this one? Because I'm still kind of confused on the whole.
Well, so before the podcast, we were talking about something I don't think we've ever talked about before, is like why do we like games so much?
Yeah, because as a non-gamer, I want to understand why you guys who are avid gamers enjoy it so much.
It's like that episode of Batman, or that part in Batman when he saves someone and they're like, why do you do the things you do?
Because I
It's
like beating the crap out of criminals.
You make gaming sound so heroic.
Well, it is. Well, it is.
Yeah, like we've been doing this for like, I think this is your 10th year, you guys, and I've been doing it for a little less than that, but still, like, I don't think we've ever actually talked about why we like games to the extent that we do, because you know I sold games for a while, and I guess subconsciously, as I've always known, like it must seem pretty strange to people who don't play a lot of games, for someone to, you know, for example, do a gaming podcast for a decade and all this other stuff. So, yes, this topic is interesting to me as well, but not as a non-gamer, just as someone who is interested in interesting things.
I guess you'll go. I mean, I can go first. Whatever, we can do the
Okay.
one. But so you know, why do I play games? Well, that's pretty easy. I mean, I'm not good at anything else because I'm bad at everything. It's like something I've been doing.
Your headset was cutting out.
Yep, you're cutting out now.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so for me, not good at a lot of other things, and then it's just something I've been doing a long time since I was a wee little child. And I've always enjoyed it and found them to be fun, and over time just stuck with them and kept at it and had no reason to stop. And then since it's like a technologically, what's the word I would say? Technologically something.
I think dependent.
Technologically dependent or technologically involved type of thing or activity. It's like you can see it over time just like progress and evolve and get better or change, and like just things are different. Like if you look at Resident Evil 2 versus Resident Evil 2 Remake, it's like, oh my gosh, look at how amazing it looks versus now and then. And just Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes is like, you know, the PS1 version where like you can't even see Snake's eyes and you play Twin Snakes and it looks amazing, and it's like, oh my gosh, look at all the stuff they added with the bullet time, and just and then, you know, that's only like one aspect. It's like, you know, over time you just see it changing it, but only get better in my opinion. I mean, sure, there's like sometimes when you're like, you know, you got your doubts, things are not going so well, like we're in the Wii era and it's like people are just like flailing about with their limbs. It's like, we look so ridiculous, this is embarrassing. I can't even call myself a gamer now. This is but like Wii Fit, balance boards, accidents, people breaking their TVs, throwing Wiimotes through the roofs, everything like that. That was, oh my gosh, that was ridiculous. That was
a fun time.
That happened, man. That happened. Yeah, it's like, you know, the sound like getting better. It's like from mono to stereo to sweet surround 7.1 on my Platinum headset to like the great, amazing graphics from you know, like we were saying, 2D side-scrolling back in the day, 8-bit style, to the sweet 3D Horizon Zero Dawn robot dinosaur butts that you can stab.
Oh yes,
That's amazing. Then Detroit Become Human comes out and looks, so good, so good. Also, yeah, that's the other thing. It's like the types of games. It's like constantly changing or evolving, or just like the like dynamics and the minutia or the like elements that are like sprinkled in throughout. Like if you play Red Dead 1, and it's basically like an open world game with RPG elements. I mean, very much, I would say, like, an evolution of San Andreas, which was, like, also that, because you had, like, the stamina bar, and all these other bars, or, like, meters in the game, that were basically, like, how your character, or how your CJ grew and changed. And then Red Dead was basically that, but more evolved and nuanced, where it's, like, it had that, but then it also had, like, other stuff that, at the time, was being added into open world games, too, like, a bunch of crafting elements, a bunch of hunting elements, like the stuff in Far Cry 3. But like eventually, like there's like a game that comes out that like takes all those things and like really blows it out, and just does a really good job. But I haven't got too far into Red Dead 2, but I from what the little I've played, and like I can already see it there in the behind the scenes and stuff. When I go into the menus and I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, they got this and this and this. But yeah, just the I mean, there's like that, there's all that depth there. You can just like fall into it, like I have in the thousands of hours I've just lost myself into Destiny and Destiny 2. And then, like, mechanically, shooting, jumping, all that stuff is just, like, dialed in. GTA 5 says hi, because it's just basically the best of the best as far as, like, all those mechanics just dialed in. You got the stories, you got the characters. Pour one out for Telltale, RIP. I will miss you dearly. And all the great games that I was able to play, and like the stories that would be like dun 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 to be continued in the next episode. I will never forget those times that we had. And then Mass Effect and like Bioware and like the great stories and characters. Like I was saying, like you have like not just great stories, but good characters to carry them, like Shepard and Liara, Garrus, Morden, Rex, Grunt, Tali, Zaid, Masani, Jacob, everybody played a part. Thane Krios, oh man. All the awesome Mass Effect characters and Bioware characters, and like they tell a great story that like links them all together, and you got the threat from the Reapers, and it's like, oh man. It's just like, magical moments like that, where it's like you have a game that has characters, and like all the other things that's been talked about, like it's a great soundtrack, the like Suicide Mission theme, every time I hear it, it's great. Just like the main Aimless and visual theme, it's so great when I hear them. And just like, and I can just like follow those franchises. I don't care if Andromeda comes out and people don't like it. I loved it. I very much enjoyed it. F the haters, over action at times 1,000. Like and just you can keep going and going. Like that's like if you look at Smash Bros. Ultimate, it's like it's basically a love letter to Nintendo fans, and just has like over 20 years of like fandom and like fan service in it. Of just like if you're a Nintendo fan and you have any interest in gaming, you can just pick it up and play that character and just like see all the cool stuff in there. That's like an homage to that series or franchise of the characters that you love, and it's in there, and it's like that's just cool to me. And just like being able to like follow it for so long, it's like you get to a point where it's like I can't stop. Why would I stop? Like there's no reason for me to stop, and I'm just gonna keep going until I die. And sure, I may be going in my life, and then be like, oh hello there, waifu. We're hanging out all the time now, and I don't really have time for gaming. But it's not like I'm gonna stop and quit and be like, I'm not gonna do this anymore. So yeah, just keep on keeping on, and it keeps getting better, and it keeps staying awesome. And it's like, yeah, like I said, like we had great experiences in the past, and like now we got like Horizon, Spider-Man, God of War, like Sony first party killing it all the time, and then third party stuff is like decent. Or like we were saying, or we said like before on the podcast, like there's no games this gen that like really are terrible. Like everything is pretty much okay or decent. There's not a lot of subpar or terrible because it's all been like weeded out. Development costs are so high now. It's like you can't really have like flops and just garbage games be released. So it's like everything is basically at a pretty good bar of quality or standards and practices we've got going on. I mean, free to play microtransactions is aside. Not gonna get into that. That's all they can of worms. But yeah, it's like basically got to the point where everything is like super refined and dialed in, good to play, fun to play, and like you can find your own niche if you're like, I'm into tactics, I'm into strategy, I'm into story games, I'm into action games, I'm into platforming, I'm into side scrolling, I'm into retro stuff, I'm into what's that one genre I hate where it's like roguelikes. Oh yeah, like even all the genres I hate. It's like you find your own thing. It's like even if you like that crap, that's good for you. Have fun. If you like tower defense, or roguelikes, or battle royale, or all that crap, have fun with that. And like there's like the classics, you got puzzles, you got your platformers, and all the fun actiony stuff. But yeah, it's a fun hobby, and there's always something new to do, and something to follow, and something to look forward to. Oh, that's another thing. Even though Sony's not going to be E3, we'll talk about the news. Pour one out for that too. No more dreams. It's like, there's always something to look forward to, even if there's like a game that gets canceled or your favorite developer is like no more Telltale. Like I said already, there's always something to look forward to and be like, oh man, I can't wait. It's like, Resident Evil 2 Remix right around the corner, Kingdom Hearts 3 for RPG, and I don't know what Topical's looking forward to. But yeah, it's always something to look forward to. There's that too. But yeah, I guess that's why I play. Besides the whole I guess that's like one side of the coin. The other side would be like, when I'm actually playing the game, I got the controller in my hands, I'm pushing the buttons. It's like, oh man, this is like so fun. And I'm just there, and I'm just. If you guys can't see it, you can see it 'cause you're sitting next to me. But I'm like, I'm just sitting here. I'm so absorbed in the game.
I think we can imagine it.
I'm about to say.
It's been enough time.
Pushing buttons. I'm just like, ugh. I mean, you guys have heard me play Monster, and I'm just like mash.
I've
Just
heard you play Monster
my
Hunter.
psychosomatic just takes over. I'm in the moment. I'm there, man. I'm facing down some Xenochiva, some Rathos, some Rathian, or effing Luna Nestra, like all those effing like hard monsters, Elder Dragons, F those guys. Like, and you're just there, man. Like, I'm not gonna quit until I win. And then you win, and you're just like, yeah, God. Like, the same thing on like a raid in Destiny too. It's like, or like any Destiny. It's like you're doing the raid, and it's like, okay, guys, and it's a communal effort of like you and 5 other people, and it's like, okay, we're not giving up. It's like some Saving Private moment, some Saving Private Ryan moment. Like, we're all getting home, or nobody's going home, and then you're just like there, 6 hours straight on the raid boss. You're just like, you finally finish it, and like you may get an awesome loot drop, you may not. It's like, eventually you get over it, or you don't. Whatever. It's a thing. It's Destiny. Whatever. It does it to you. It F's you sometimes. Whatever. But like in those experiences, I'm alive. I'm alive. It feels
I'm so scared right now.
Right? I was looking for a short answer, not an essay.
And that's those experiences that I crave and I look forward to all the time. And that's why I play the game. It's delicious.
So, like,
Oh, sorry.
the core of that sounds like endlessly novel, and they're making stuff that you like. Although I'm curious, like, why did you start with I'm not good at other things? Do you think that's because you played games, or
It's cool because I'm 5'3", and I'm nearsighted, and I'm not like super muscular Ninja Turtle. That's why.
Okay, so that's not valid because I'm very
Most
similar
people.
to you in height with eyes and in my looks, and I am a kick-ass truck driver. So I think you're just being narrow-minded about what you can do.
I don't have any skills though. I mean, whatever. That's a whole other kind of topic.
Yeah, I'm ready to
I
hear from
can
the
type-
other two now about why they like me.
You're scaring people. You're scaring people, man.
oh, funny.
Gaming makes me feel alive.
You can see that.
It replenishes me. Keeps me
So who wants to go next?
I don't know. I'm kind of scared now. I don't know.
like, you don't get any more response time.
Scared. I'm still trying to think of why I like gaming.
Hmm.
It's a
Well,
weird question to be asked. Especially
I
after so
mean-
long.
yeah, like, I think, like most people, it's something that I encountered really young, and then at the time, it was like marketed as like, oh, this is a fun thing. It's like games and just electronic games, and games are fun, so electronic games, they're fun too. And yeah, like basically that's what they were like. It wasn't until later it was Metal Gear Solid and Parasite Eve, 2 games that were like, they just had stories that you would not expect from games. Like, Metal Gear was about nuclear proliferation, like Cold War stuff, and just like, it blew my mind just what it was about. And sort of, it opened me to the possibility that games were not what I thought they were. They could be other things. Like, they could have messages. they could have important things to say and stuff like that. And so from that point on, it really was, this is neat. Like, people make these things. That was also something that blew my mind. I was not a good student, I suppose. Like, you know, a lot of my friends who went on to much better schools and stuff, they're just like, I guess they always had a sense of purpose. They were going to university for a purpose. And I was like, that's just what you do, right? You go from one school to the next until you're done. And so I never really had vision for where I was going. And then so it really got to a point where it was like, wait, no, I'm getting off topic. Yeah, what that was going towards was like, it had never, you know, it's obvious, and yet it never really occurred to me that games were made by people. And so, you know, once I saw the types of games that people are making, it's like, huh, that's really interesting. And so it's always been interesting to me. Like, now I play games because it is always interesting to me what people decide to make and how they decide to make it. And, you know, a lot of times, yeah, it is like, well, they decided, you know, they made a shooter because it's commercially smart. They can sell a lot of copies because people like shooters. And like, well, sure, but, you know, why did you make it like this? Why did you set it in this time period? Why did you, you know, why does it feel like this to play? And this is like, nothing is made by accident in games. You have to make everything. And so everything is a conscious decision by someone to make it a certain way. And that's like really neat to me. And, you know, I still see games as like entertainment, although I don't really have that much fun playing them a lot of the time. But yeah, so compared to other forms of entertainment, it's like, well, this seems more meaningful to me than like watching movies or reading books, although I do those things too. Yeah, I don't know. I think I like games now in a very boring way.
Well, I've never thought about it like that, about how people. I mean, like, obviously, like you said, you know, people make the games, but I never thought too deep about it. So I thought it was a pretty interesting answer.
There's a lot of stuff like that. Also, cartoons. I never thought people make cartoons. Like, oh, that's right. If I had known these things, I think I would have a more interesting career. I could be one of those people, but no.
I would never want to be one of those people. They're so underappreciated and underpaid, and they work way too hard.
Yeah, it would probably be rough. Although, well, these days, since it's the ability to make games, like, the bar is a lot lower now. Probably wouldn't make a lot of money, but you could do it. Anyone can do it.
What do you mean by the bar is lower?
Oh, so back in the day, coding games itself was difficult. Like, you know, if you ask a regular person, how do you make a screen display one color with code? No idea. And the game, you know, is not just one color, it's like shapes and stuff, and this is really hard. And now, you know, you have basically drag and drop type software that allows you to make games very quickly. Not necessarily good games, but you can make it happen much easier than you could before.
Isn't that just working smarter, not harder?
Yes. Well, I guess just the difference is, like, before there wasn't a way to do that. If you wanted to make a game, you had to learn everything on every level. And now you can be, you know, you don't even have to know how to program. You could be an artist and make a game. or a programmer can make a game without being able to draw things. So just like the tools have made it easier for just regular people who don't have all of the skills to make games as well.
Interesting.
It is a fun time. RPG, have you thought of your answer?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Was it like recreation for you?
I mean, when I initially got into gaming, like I said, I was like really young when it happened. So it was more of a, I think initially or at least when my family members like got us these things, it was just like kind of like a reward type of thing. So it wasn't really something that I was necessarily seeking out. It just kind of happened because, we were given this thing. So I didn't really care about gaming all that much before. It was kind of just like a thing we did when, we weren't doing other stuff initially, because since I always had to share growing up with the whole having siblings thing, it was like not as great, because we always had to it was always like a compromising type hobby. So it would always be something you kind of had to like agree upon various things before we were able to actually do anything. So it was, I don't know. So I actually don't even know how I ended up liking it so much, because it's one of those things where it's like, well, it was kind of just there just for the sake of being there. And then I kind of just fell into it after the fact. But I guess eventually, once I was able to kind of like be separated, I guess, from whatever it was my brother wanted to do, it kind of like opened my eyes to the various things in the gaming world, because it's like I've mentioned before, one of the first RPGs I've ever played was Wild Arms. So and that was pretty much like my first game away from having to
sports.
I'm about to say co-parent a console, basically. So I mean, I guess like at that point, then I kind of realized it's like, there's a lot more to this. There's a lot more to this than I thought. And I think like Tekken was saying how the developers are telling a story or something else is going on or whatever. Is like, I think part of the reason why I continued going with it, because I mean, you kind of get involved with these characters and these stories, and all these interesting things are going on, and it's kind of just, I don't know, just interesting to kind of just see these things unfold and see what comes next, kind of thing. So I mean, I've always been interested in I guess a good story or whatever. I used to read a lot when I was a kid, so I think part of the whole video games thing is like you kind of see those stories brought to life. So it's not just necessarily just you're just using your imagination to kind of imagine these things. You actually get to see it and go on these adventures with the characters and all these things. And it's one of those things that kind of, I guess, just stuck with me for a long time after finally experiencing it for the first time. So, yeah.
Do we all play more than we watch and read now?
Wait. You mean like?
What do you mean?
Like, so earlier I was saying, movies and books are like other types of entertainment, but I think I now play more than either of the other two.
Yes.
Is that the case for you guys?
That'd be correct for me as well.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, looking at my hour rack up for my games in comparison to probably how many hours I spent watching any type of movies or anything, it probably is a lot higher. So
Yeah, and it's higher on the priority list. Like when I have time, I'm gonna spend it playing games and not watching movies or reading them.
I probably would prefer to be playing something as opposed to just watching a movie if I could. But I mean, it's not something I'm opposed to. Again, like because because of the type of games I play or the kind of things I like about certain games. It's like, I mean, watching movies wouldn't be much different for, my interest in terms of what I'm getting out of games. So they just aren't as immersive, I guess, maybe, or I don't know.
So is it like, because, I don't know that necessarily game stories are superior to other stories, but like the way that they're presented is superior because of the immersion and stuff like that?
Well, part of it is also is like with games, I feel like developers aren't being weighed down by realism kind of thing. I feel like whenever somebody's trying to make a movie, they always try to make sure there's some level of, realistic kind of grounding to something. So it's like it's one of those things. It's like they don't really like. You can't get like super crazy with some of the stories like you would see in other things where it's just like, oh, this is a thing. So I guess it would kind of depend, because I mean there are some movies out there that are crazy, but then at the same time there's a lot more that are not. So I think with video games, because they kind of just do whatever, and without having to worry about like, oh, let's make sure this seems realistic for the player. It kind of.
So you just like the wackier.
It's not
stuff compared to.
I don't know movies. I don't know if I would say I would like the wackier stuff. I think it's just more interesting to not be tethered by certain things. And usually game stories are a lot longer, so they usually do a lot more with them, because it's like you basically have multiple movies within your games because you're like multiple arcs and stuff going on. So there's that as well.
Well, it definitely sounds like all gamers are of the same mindset, because everything you guys described about why you like games is pretty much the reason why I am all about that anime life. And why I like TV shows, movies, and books over gaming. It's like I love the immersion of a lot of anime. Same thing with manga and books in general. And they're not all realistic, especially when you're talking about anime. And then I also like the character developments, and a lot of the characters in certain anime, like Kakyo Hitman Reborn is one of my favorites, because the characters are really good. They're really adverse, and then Fullmetal Alchemist has such a variety of characters. Same thing with storylines and stuff like that. Also, just how Chris was talking about the evolution of gaming when it comes to graphics, sound, and stuff like that. Same thing with movies. I mean, so many. Just take the superhero movies have evolved, and a lot of movies can be made today because of the graphic levels that we are evolving into and stuff like that.
I mean, that's true, but there's also like people that are, I guess I'll just say, casual, or it's just like I just like to have fun and shoot things, or I just like to be jumping and collecting coins or whatever, some simple answer. It's not always the thought out, voiced opinions of the Aimless podcast.
I like anime though.
Yeah, anime is good. No, but so again, some of those people, I would ask them like what they think games are, because I know a lot of people that I've spoken to around here, I don't think they're aware of what games are now. Like, there was a time when everyone played games, and like games were in the news and stuff, not because they had controversial things in them, but because they were like, oh, this is making tons of money. Or there was a story about how all of the there's a quarter shortage because they're all inside Pac-Man machines. So like,
just take them out of the machines.
Yeah, I feel like most people, their impression of games comes from that time period where it was like, oh, this is a fun thing that you do, instead of going bowling, you went to the arcade and you played games for fun. And then like, today they have they're just like interactive screens at like bars and restaurants and stuff. and it's sort of like the arcades of old, except now it's like adapted mobile games on there. So their primary purpose is, I'm waiting for my food. I'm going to play a game now because games are fun, and it's still like the attitude from before. And I don't know. Like, what's your experience with people who don't play or are not fans in the way that we are?
I mean, I get. I think it's like they just don't have like the deeper appreciation of it. It's just like a surface level. What's that word?
Well, should I first express why I don't like games?
Sure.
As one of these people that I'm sure you guys are all talking about.
I have neighbors now. But no,
garbage people.
I'm surrounded by gamers. My brother, my sister, my best friend, and now my boyfriend, all gamers, and they've all tried to get me to play games, and I have tried a couple times, but I simply get bored with them very quickly, especially when I die a lot. I really hate those shooter games because it takes time and real effort to get good at those, and when I play a game, in my mindset, it needs to be something easy and fun right away. I'd pick a board game over a video game any day, and I also honestly think some of these video games get pretty repetitive. Because, I mean, it's just one goal to another, and I just don't see the point of continuously playing the game over and over when, like I said, I feel it gets repetitive. But I think what Chris was going where he was starting off with they don't have a deep appreciation for it, I guess. I mean, like, if I'm not interested in it, well, if I'm not interested, I'm not going to dive too deep into it.
Okay, that's true.
It's
But, it's like...
I like board games too, by the way.
I'm trying to think. 'Cause it's like I kind of feel like that's kind of like with anything though. Really, it's like it's like I don't care about sports really, but I acknowledge that there are people that are just like so big into sports and stuff, and just like that's the same thing with anything really, because it's like just like oh man, I'm going to follow all these celebrity people in all the movies that they're in and things that they do. Even though I don't really need to, and all the studios that make them, and blah 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 blah. That's like to my mind like a parallel to like the gaming industry is like the whole Hollywood celebrity garbage. Because it's just like whatever, these people are making these things and they're doing these things. It's just a movie though, so it's like but then I guess there are really good movies that can like gravitate to that level, but in my mind there are like so few of them. So it's like whatever, dude. If it's like a certain type of movie, it ain't getting there. I'm just saying, Venom ain't gonna win any like Golden Globes for like the best dramatic portrayal of an alter ego. Yes, we are Venom, and we will go into the night as a symbiote. Oh, it's so deep and compelling. On a story level, it's just there's like levels to things or like tiers to them, and like that's pushing it. And then like sports to me is just like a waste of time for me, and like I have like brain power I could be like using for other things, and like that's not one of them. It's
I
just
agree.
like
I feel like sports is overpaid,
so it's just like
overhyped.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just there's just a bunch of things, and then like gaming's one of them, and like to me it's just like at the top of the list, and then it's just not at the top of other people's list like it is mine, and like I can acknowledge my new word that they don't see it like that, and so whatever, dude, whatever floats your boat, man. That's just keep on being you, because you're stuck like that forever. Have fun.
So aggressive.
I know.
I mean, I think in that sense, games are more like novels than they are like movies, because movies, even if you're not really into a movie, it doesn't require that much effort or anything to... I mean, that's probably why so many bad movies are celebrated, because it's like, well, it was bad, but it was only 2 hours, and I didn't have to do anything, so I saw it, and I could find the enjoyment in it eventually. Whereas, like a novel, if it doesn't get good until 2/3 of the way through, it's like, well, you've gone through 2/3 of a novel in the hope that it'll get good at the end. But some people are like that. Like, you can put in the effort, really, because you believe that there will be the payoff. And I think games are like that too, where it's like sometimes you play games like, oh, it's gonna happen. Like at some point, it's gonna be really good, and like.
Not me.
Has Tekken told you how many times?
I'm done.
Oh yeah. Has Tekken told you how many times he's played Mass Effect?
No.
Oh, it's probably for the best.
I know he's got like 5 posters up, but no.
Oh, if only you knew the true depth.
Well, I don't honestly even know what Mass Effect is.
It's probably for the best. Don't ask him about it. Just.
I guess it's Dragon Age in space.
Thank you for simplifying it.
He is greatly. But again, it's for the best. It's for the best.
Yeah, as you were talking, I was basically thinking of like you could use that analogy on anything really. Is like you have the people that are just like really into like their hobby that they're like into and just like bleeding heart fan, just like oh yeah man. But then you have like the casual fan of just like I'm just here for the appreciation of the thing. Like I have a home team. That's my team in that sport, and like that's all I really care about in that sport. I don't follow like the players and the coaches and the leagues and like the standings and like who's going to the championships or the playoffs or blah blah blah. But every week when the team plays, I'm like, oh man, go home team or whatever. Or they're like I follow whatever genre of movie I'm a fan of, and that's the movie genre I care about, or like whatever actor or studio that puts out the stuff I like. So Disney movies and maybe some sweet Leonardo DiCaprio films, and I'm good. I'm good, man.
Oh God, that's a horrible actor.
Why? I was about to say. Why
I'm just making an example. I'm just making an example.
If we're talking about good actors, Michael Pena is a great actor.
Okay, fine. I'm a fan of Disney movies and Michael Pena movies, and and that's all I'm here for, man.
Well, I legitimately only watch movies because he's in them, so that's the reason. Yeah.
Terrible though.
But yeah, just stuff like that. Or like my favorite music artist is this group XYZ group, and like all their stuff I follow. But within the genre of that stuff, not too into it. But And then some people are like, oh, like all that stuff. It's like, yeah, man. Like if I could listen to it 24/7, oh man, all the time on my Pandora or Spotify or what have you feed. I'm all up in it. All up in it. I guess it's all up in my ears. That's how that would go. But yeah, that's the analogy I would make.
Interesting.
An example. Whereas, like, people like, well, I guess I don't want to say people like us and be like, you guys are all like me, but myself, it's like, games are art and they're amazing things that you should experience while you are living your short life on the planet Earth and appreciate them because they're amazing. Okay, they're not all amazing. I mean, some of them good stuff, some of them not so good, but you gotta play at least one man because
What? No, you gotta get out and go do things to live life.
Yeah, I mean, there's a balance. You can do both. You can do both. Okay, it's not like you can't do all the things, or only do one. I'm just saying, it's not.
What have you
not
done?
mutually exclusive.
What have you done?
Not mutually exclusive.
What have you done
There you go.
besides gaming then?
What are you talking about? I hung out with you for like the last 3 weeks.
Guys,
Besides
stop
that,
it.
Before I was here.
Stop it.
You're the reason I can't even.
I'm about to say. You guys are tearing this family apart.
Maybe from what we've learned over the years, maybe Tekken is too much into games, though. I mean, he's been sleeping on a beanbag chair.
Oh,
I mean, I just learned last. I was like, what? How's this a thing? So, fine. It's fine. I mean, sometimes, yeah. I don't even know an excuse for that.
Hey, It
It's
looks way better
nothing but
now.
consoles and cords and controllers and monitors everywhere.
I won't
How
So
tell
is
you how
that
long
the
it took.
whole room? Because the picture is only that corner.
It's pretty much the whole living room. It's like it was hard
Like-
to walk before I got here and helped him clean it up.
Gosh. It took forever to convince him to get like a couch. It's just like, because you're looking.
Right? I mean, it wasn't a quick thing for him to decide. It took him like 3 days.
Wow, and that was after our podcast too.
I just thought to say. Ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
Hey, that just goes to show people can change, and you can do all the things, or try to anyway.
No,
About balance, okay? Moderation.
With the right motivation, people can change.
Asterisk with the right motivation.
Because we've talked about some of these things, and nothing happened
Yeah,
until
about to say, it's like-
recently.
yeah, I knew Tekken was a gamer when I decided to go out with him. I never honestly thought I'd date a gamer, but also surprised by how much of a gamer. Because when I first came to the house, I thought he was a minimalist, but it's only a minimalist when it comes to furniture. Because when we cleaned his room, oh my god,
And
he
food.
has so many consoles, so many games, so many controllers he's not even using, so many headsets. It's like, why do you need 6 headsets?
Why don't you? The real question. Yeah, he's a little ridiculous in that regard.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Some people are on the high end spectrum, like I am. I can't help it. Okay.
The 1%.
Go all the way. Exactly, tropical.
Jeez.
You're only hardcore if you live hardcore.
I don't know if I would consider that living hardcore, but teach his own.
Well, yeah, so last week, I guess we were talking about this because I don't know, you want the people that you're with to have interests in the things that you're, in Tekken's case, extremely interested in. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, when my brother tries to get me to play games, I just straight up tell him no. So the fact that I've even tried games with Tekken does show that I'm trying, and he's special, so.
Yeah, like, that was our assumption too. It's like, oh, the co-op stuff, it's like, there's effort being made here, so it's not like. But then, you know, we were also thinking, like, well, you know, you don't necessarily want to force her into playing stuff that she really doesn't want to play, and so. Yeah, judging from this, Tekken, you might try some like short form. Well, so actually, I'm curious. I don't know. I forgot the pronunciation. You lot.
Oh yeah, me too. That's why I didn't say it, because I was like,
Well, my gamer tag is Azriela.
well, that's not any easier. Jeez.
Yes. How did you get into anime?
Middle school, my sister found a Inuyasha book on the ground in the middle of the hallway. And she took it to the Lost and Found like she's supposed to. And after 3 days, she went and took it. And that's how we got into it. And then we just expanded from that, from the books. And then my grandma was like, oh, you like this manga? I found an anime. But, you know, she obviously didn't realize that there's episodes. So we got like a DVD that was in the middle of the story.
Oh dear.
And then we realized that there's actually animation of these mangas. So then that's how we got into it. And I've loved it ever since.
Was the Inuyasha from the middle, or was it like the first one?
The manga that my
Yeah.
sister found, I think it was the second volume. So it was actually close to
Okay, so pretty early. But like, what was it, do you think, that drew you guys to it?
Well, for me personally, as an artist, the art, I really like what they could do with art and the story, like how they could tell a story with art and stuff like that. I thought it was really impressive. And then as I expanded with anime and stuff, I started getting really into the storylines and the characters. And obviously the art is always going to keep me. Like, if the art's really good, it automatically makes me want to go see what it's about. But I think that's a lot to do with the fact that I'm an artist and I value art, very good art.
Now, did you watch cartoons before then?
Like regular cartoons? Yeah, I was a kid.
Yeah, okay. Because in my experience with anime, like a lot of people sort of they find the sort of contrast with cartoons to be just like so great.
Oh,
and
I never even thought of that.
It's like the story is like, oh, this is just so much better than cartoons that seem to have they're not really going anywhere. Well, and these characters like evolve, and there's like storylines with them and all this stuff.
I always looked at them separate things though, because cartoons are a separate genre than anime, so I never compared them. Because it's like comparing Michelangelo's art to a famous musician. They're completely separate genres.
I was gonna start listing Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
The painter and the turtle.
That's also a good example. Different genres.
Where were you going with that?
I wasn't going anywhere.
He wasn't.
I was just interested.
His usual self.
Yeah, because like most of what I remember, recommending things to people over the years, has always been people were always surprised to discover what those things actually were. Like nobody watched anime in my class, and then I started showing just like Gundam Wing to just random people, and then some of them really latched onto it. They were like, "Wow, this is not the giant robots fighting thing that I thought it was. It's like it's a very political story, and the characters have depth, and there's just like lots of things going on." And the same with Star Trek. And then when I came here, it's like the anime thing sort of started over again. It's like, oh yeah, people look down on anime because they don't know what it is, and then once they see it, it's like, oh wow, this stuff is really interesting.
It's pretty cool how it has also evolved. I mean, like they've got showings in movie theaters now.
Yeah, $13 for a ticket.
Well, that's cheap. So,
right. I'm in the Midwest. And yeah, I guess like games has always been like that too. Like a lot of people I've encountered, I always come to the conclusion, you did not know what these were. Like you thought you knew, but then you saw other stuff, and it like my experience with Metal Gear, like it opened my eyes to what this thing actually is.
I definitely think that I'll be able to try out games in the future, but I mean, from the fact that I've loved Assassin's Creed 1 and Dragon Age 2, so I've had my, oh my god, these are amazing moments twice. I'm still not invested deeply into gaming. I don't think I ever will.
Right.
Yeah, and then we played through Never Alone, and then I was like, "Wait, didn't you enjoy the story with the fox and the little girl?" And she's like, kind of got repetitive towards the end.
Yeah, it did.
The,
I mean,
the
like, the
story
fox
got
was cute.
repetitive, or the
Well,
game got repetitive?
Because you're just jumping and running, and that got repetitive.
Interesting.
She didn't fall in love with the fox.
Tekken, I wonder if you might try games that are like really short. Like most games. So Uncharted is a game that people always talk about. Oh, my wife watched me play this, and she was so engrossed because it was like a movie. When my wife watches it, and I talked about this last time, it's just like most of it is not that engrossing. Most of the game is climbing stuff and shooting people, and then you get like scenes that are engrossing. not all games are made that way right now. Like a lot of them are because people feel like they need to like showcase their mechanic, and so the mechanic is the thing that they're showing, and it's like, oh, you've learned this basic thing of climbing and jumping. Now here's a big thing for you to climb and jump through in various different. Some places you climb, and some places you jump, and some places you jump and then you climb, and like that's what they're like testing. It's like a skill test. But yeah, like there's
hook.
a lot of games that are not interested in mechanics. They're interested in like other stuff. For example, can I think of an example? I don't know off the top of my head.
Well,
But
I
it's
like those kind of games where it's like, okay, you do the X, then the square and stuff like that, and then it tests you, because I don't like reading tutorials.
Mm.
It's like, it's fun just to figure it out yourself.
You're too difficult to please.
I mean, honestly, that's probably why I have a hard time getting into games, because then I have to read like what on the controller works what,
Mm.
and I'd rather just figure it out, and then I just get frustrated because it's taking too long.
Yeah, I would say like look into small. They're probably going to be on Steam, like PC type games, like smaller indie games. Like there's been a trend in indie games where they don't want to have any text, and mostly financial reasons. Like if there's no text in your game, then when you want to sell it to another country, like you don't have to pay anyone to translate it because you have no text. And so they try to teach things, not intrinsically, but just like people are supposed to figure it out just by pushing the buttons or just like looking at the screen, and it's supposed to be really obvious somehow. And then, yeah, since you're interested in the story stuff, like that you should be able to find some stuff. Story, short
I'm
things
thinking
that
about,
aren't boring
To the
or
Moon.
repetitive.
That's not short, I don't think.
To the Moon, I don't think it's short.
Yeah. I think every example, I think it was like not short because it's like a story, and then like all the good story stuff's not short. Like that's a hard find. Tropical is a hard get.
WarioWare.
Oh, man.
Also not repetitive until you've played it a lot.
It just sucks that RPGs are so complicated. Otherwise, I could recommend some because there's a lot of weird ones out there. But yeah,
Speaking of RPGs, I'm trying to do a D&D campaign, Dungeons and Dragons.
I've never gotten to do that.
I was listening to a podcast when I drive called The Adventure Zone, and I just really liked the storytelling that they were doing, and it sounded like a lot of fun, especially since it's like a board game because you have multiplayers, which could be your friends and stuff like that. And I like interactive games where you can be with people you know and stuff like that.
Mm.
That's why I like board games, is because you're playing with people.
yeah, I've never tabletop RPG before. Well, not like D&D anyway. I did like play a tabletop game recently. It was interesting.
All right. Well, I don't know. That was interesting to me. Is there anything to add, anyone? The silence means maybe?
You're really bad at that.
Because I do have news.
I'm ready for some
Sure.
news.
Yeah? Everyone? Yeah?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, that's cool. Let's move on to the news then. First up, very surprising news. No Sony E3 this year.
next year.
The coming year. Yeah, they basically said, and this is their statement, as the industry evolves, Sony Interactive Entertainment continues to look for inventive opportunities to engage the community. PlayStation fans mean the world to us, and we always want to innovate, think differently, and experiment with new ways to delight gamers. As a result, we have decided not to participate in E3 in 2019. We are exploring new and familiar ways to engage our community in 2019 and can't wait to share our plans with you.
Which, I mean, I think was the whole point of like the PlayStation experience when they were doing it in the first place, but then they're not doing it this year either. So it's like I'm not entirely sure what they're planning, but
also a few things to go along with that. They confirmed that they're not doing what EA has been doing, whereas like E3 takes place on that weekend, and EA doesn't go to E3, but they have a thing near your E3, which is basically E3, but they don't have to pay to be part of E3. Sony said, no, we're not doing that. Like, we're not going to be doing anything that weekend. And then, like, right off the back of it, Xbox and Nintendo were both like, oh yeah, we're totally going to be there. We think it's really good to have E3, and we have lots to share. Even though Nintendo has not really been at E3 in a while. They've been doing their direct broadcasts. But yeah, like Sony PlayStation won't even have a booth at the center. So the speculation has begun. They're skipping PSX and E3. People think they're going to do console announcements next year and then release in 2020. I really hope they're not going to do that.
I agree. I think recently on Facebook I had a memory that was like something about, I can't remember, I had to bring it up, but like it was some sort of prediction thing, and I was like, okay, Days Gone next year, and then Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2 year after that, and then so that's 2019 and 2020, and then 2021 Death Stranding question mark maybe, if not farther down the line. And that's when they roll out PS5. Because it's like, once they're out of Steam with their current first-party lineup, which they're on fire with, it's like, why? I mean, yeah, they could do cross-gen, but it's like, that's a cop-out, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, nobody likes cross-gen. It's just like, you get a really good whatever gen version, but then you get like a watered-down next-gen version, unless they just like somehow magically figure out a way to like have just amazing ports, which is like a dirty word in itself, of like games that they've been making for that specific hardware. It's just like, no, because it's not just on this. It's on this and that thing. Everything I could buy it on, where I don't have to spend money for like hundreds of dollars for your new console pass. Okay. It's just not a good look, man. Not a good look.
Okay, so as a non-gamer, it's really hard for me to follow this. But are you guys talking about Sony coming out with the PlayStation 5?
Yeah.
Right.
Potentially, yes.
Okay. Like, you said it in 2019 or 2020?
Well, we don't know for
rumor
sure when it's going to happen, but
right.
There's rumors that they're going to announce it because of the skipping of all their gaming conferences.
I see. Well, I'm glad I didn't pay for my PlayStation 4 then. Because I got it for free.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I was kind of worried because I didn't want to buy one and then be like, oh, I'm coming out with number 5. And I'm like, damn it, because I like to do things. So even though I don't game, I would have wanted the number 5.
Yeah, there's been actually a really specific rumor recently that a guy who I guess has gotten rumors right in the past. Is it the guy who said Anthem is really bad right now? Yeah. He's saying like, oh, they're going to be cross-gen. You know, the last 3 big games out of Sony that we know of, Last of Us 2, Death Stranding, and Ghost of Tsushima, they're saying that those are going to be cross-gen games, and then all this hardware speculation. And to me, it seemed like, well, I mean, these are kind of obvious, so I don't know. It's like a 50-50 chance that they're right or not.
Okay.
All right.
What's that?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, okay.
I forgot I had a headset on.
Okay, so that's that. The next thing I wrote down: Fortnite versus 2 milli, or it must be the other way. So you know that Fortnite they sell dance emotes,
Mhm.
and someone made those dances, and there's been discussion over the past few months among the community. Is just like, shouldn't the people who made the dances like get money? And yeah, right now apparently 2milli is thinking about suing Epic Games for selling his dance, the Millie Rock, as an emote in the game.
Did he ever patent and/or trademark this dance?
So that's where the weird thing is, because there is no such thing as copywriting choreography.
Exactly.
And so, you know, just because certain laws don't exist doesn't mean that they shouldn't exist. And yeah, so like the big question is now is like, well, yes, under the current legal system, there's not, he doesn't really have legal standing, and yet it kind of feels like maybe they should. What do you think?
I think the only reason why he's making such a big deal about it is because of how popular Fortnite is. So he's just like, I want that Fortnite money. So let me get in on that. Because if it was just like in some random game or something where it was getting no attention or anything, you probably wouldn't even bother. But because there's so many subscribers and it's like they probably had so many people buy that emote, he's like, a nice royalty off of that would be pretty nice in my bank account. So I think that's the only reason why he's making such a big deal about it.
I agree. I agree with RPG. If Fortnite didn't exist and wasn't as big as it is and didn't have these dances in it, none of the people that made these dances or had like anything to do with them would like be saying anything at all about any of it.
Well, I mean, chances are, if it wasn't Fortnite, they wouldn't even know. Yeah, I think the difference is, yeah, the popularity.
I mean,
not
also,
necessarily.
that's what I'm saying is like if Fortnite didn't like blow up like it is, because like Disney has emotes and dances in it that it probably didn't, you know, have the rights to or whatever. It has like the Thriller dance in it. Michael Jackson didn't say anything, or like their estate didn't say anything about
No,
that.
he probably did not.
So, yeah.
Otherwise, it would be a thriller.
I mean, RPG. His estate did not come after them for that. Is what I'm saying.
But yeah, like even a game the size of Destiny, chances are they don't even know about it. Like Fortnite has done what few games have done and sort of burst out of just gaming, and sort of mainstream media is always reporting about it as well. This time, apparently, like he says everybody was just like, "Yo, your dance is in the game." They actually sell that particular move. It's for purchase. That's when I was really like, "Oh nah, this can't go on too long." That is the quote.
Oh no, I ain't get that Fortnite.
Brah. That Fortnite money. And the rest was history.
But yeah, like it kind of, I don't know. It's weird.
Honestly, it's free to play. They don't even sell that game. I think all free to play games can burn in hell anyway. So it's like, F them. Get that money and like go after them. Because like without you and your sweet moves, that game has like way less awesomeness in it. I'm just saying. Because like, have you played? I mean, I guess I haven't played Fortnite. You know, all you know, whatever. What should we call it? There's a word for that. But yeah, that stuff.
I mean, I actually think chances are, if
For the record, there we go. For the record, never played it, but you know, whatever, man.
if it became the case that dances were like you had to pay royalties on them, there just wouldn't be dances in it in any of these games anymore. They would just take it all out.
That's not true, Tropical. They could have like a sweet, you know, original dance specifically choreographed by the Bungie dancers or the Epic dancers or whatever dance squad in a game XYZ that makes emotes.
What's to stop these people from being like, oh, well, I choreographed this, so I want royalties on all. Like, there's nothing that was.
Well, it's not that though. Like, I think original dances probably wouldn't sell as well as popular, well-known dances.
Well, dances have to get popular. I mean, So I mean,
yeah, or they could just like go to artists that had been popular in the past, like, hey, MC Hammer, that's
try to
me. The Jam Dance, let's do it. Here's some dollars. There you go.
maybe.
Here's this very small to medium-sized money at MC Hammer. Because you're not worth it anymore. Sorry.
Like, unfortunately, your name just doesn't, do it. But we'll still take your sweet old school dance moves for the kids and for the culture.
I think maybe Fortnite would actually get something like that, but other games, I think even Destiny would probably just remove them.
Yeah. They probably replace them with just like vanilla emotes or something.
Yeah. Destiny doesn't have Fortnite money. Fortnite money is like serious.
That's why this guy is after it.
I feel like the only reason I got Paragon refunds was because Fortnite money is what it is.
Basically, they're like, we can afford this.
Yeah, if it wasn't Fortnite money, they're like, no, we can't give refunds on Paragon.
Pour one out for Paragon, by the way, guys.
In other Battle Royale news, remember Fix PUBG? There was that campaign that PUBG Corp came out with.
I do not know that.
We talked about it on the news. Anyway, that campaign is over. Basically, they went out and they were like, okay, public forum, what's broken in our game, and those are the things that we're going to focus on. They did not actually focus on a lot of that stuff. Like, they did, but they were mainly focused on building more content, probably in the face of ever-increasing competition from Fortnite. But yeah, like, apparently for the next year, they're going to shift back and focus more on build quality and stability over more and more content, which is probably a good move.
It's already too late, Droptical.
Yeah, I feel like it's too late, but I think this is a good move, even though they're never going to be...
They're never going to get that Fortnite
what
money.
They were, yeah. Apparently they're still the most popular game on Steam, with concurrent user numbers in the high 800,000s every day, so...
Steam.
We will see. Best of luck. There was a weird controversy this week about Spyro subtitles.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
The remastered trilogy apparently does not have subtitles in any of the cinematics. There's subtitles in the game when characters are talking, but that's because, they have text bubbles and everything. Activision's explanation was something to the effect of, the team, they decided to keep the integrity and legacy of Spyro that fans remember intact. Which I think is them saying that there were no subtitles in the original Spyro games, so why would we put them in now? And then also part of their excuse was, there's no industry standard for subtitles.
Wow.
People were just like, what are you talking about? Every major game for the last decade probably has had subtitles. And Activision is basically, no, not true. The Crash Bandicoot trilogy also did not have subtitles. But for some reason that wasn't widely reported on, and so nobody said anything. This one, there's been a larger uproar, and so I guess their final statement is, we'll look into it. Or we will continue evaluating, or whatever the PR speak is for that. And Ubisoft basically came out and said, well, we've had subtitles in all of our games, and in fact our internal data shows that like 60% of people played Assassin's Creed Origins with subtitles on, because it's not just accessibility.
Some people just like to have
some people just like to have them on, or their house is really loud or whatever.
Yeah, because sometimes
English is not their native language.
Yeah, I was just about to say, so because like they don't always dub in every language, so it's like
Latin.
being able to
Yeah.
the
I'm
dead
sorry.
languages.
The part I have every time just kills me. You
Um,
Gosh. But
So,
yeah,
yeah, why did Ubisoft release this statement? Well, apparently, in 2007, they encountered this problem when people complained that Assassin's Creed 1 had no subtitles. And so from that point on, they decided it was like mandated across the company every game would have subtitles. 2007 was when that game came out. So they've been doing it for 11 years, and Activision is making this mistake now. Funny.
I mean, it's Activision. What do you expect?
The last thing I had, funny news, only 50 of these will be made, but apparently Nintendo will be selling on Amazon Japan a box that contains 63 amiibos. All of the released amiibos for Super Smash Bros.
Oh my!
Plus the 3 initial new ones that they will release with Ultimate when it comes out on December 7th. I don't understand why every website that reported on this also had to note that, oh, there's no word if it's going to come out in the US or Europe yet. It's like, this is an insane box. That is not the most pressing question I have. The most pressing question is, how much is it? And is it really going to sell out in seconds like you think it is?
No.
Well, it is. There's only 50.
63 amiibos.
That is a lot of amiibos.
And a poster.
Because, I mean, if it's a good enough price, then a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to try to hop on this.
Speaking of limited edition stuff like that, do you guys in the gamer community have to worry about people who use bots to buy out stuff like that and then resell it at a higher price?
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of scalpers in this industry. They're kind of the worst.
Because I know in concert society and stuff like that, that's a huge problem. It's like when people try to buy out really big name concerts and stuff, a lot of times it's the bots, those third party people who buy them and then resell them for double, triple the price.
Yeah. It
Yep.
happens a lot with consoles, with
In games, it's usually
merchandise.
Nintendo consoles and convention tickets.
Because there was that whole thing with the Wii, and then that was like sold out everywhere, and people were selling them for like
years.
$6,000 or something. It was like ridiculous stuff going on. But yeah, it happens. It happens, unfortunately.
I think less so now. There's a lot less like limited edition stuff. It's mostly convention tickets, I think, now. A lot of the collector's editions, I think collectively we've decided are not worth the asking prices, and so scalpers look at that and it's like, well, even if I scalp all of them, I'll maybe make $5-10 on each of them, and it's just not worth it. Because like all the time, my local Best Buy will have collector's editions of games that will sit there for months and months and months until they're discounted like 80% off, and then they disappear. But yeah, there's a few things that NES Classic comes to mind, where and we're actually still very skeptical over whether or not Nintendo does it on purpose. And they're just like, oh, you guys better pre-order, wink, wink.
Oh, is that Classic the one I have?
Yeah.
They were really rare when they first came out. Now, I've seen used ones at GameStops.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and not only that, like they've been re-releasing things too now. So I think some of the companies have kind of gotten on to this whole scalper thing, and since they're not the ones making the money from it, they're kind of just like, well, we're not going to let this keep happening.
Like, why are we helping them?
I'm about to say, so they've been better about releasing things or re-releasing things now to kind of combat that.
No, I was going to say, is it more like if they can't beat them, join them?
Scalp them themselves.
Yeah.
It's like they have a whole scalping department. It's like, your jobs, guys, is to take our product and sell them for a ridiculous price.
There was rumors about that for the Wii also back in the day. It's like,
I
is
would
Nintendo just
believe
like holding back
it.
supply and selling a few on eBay every once in a while?
I mean, in all
That's smart
fairness,
marketing.
after
Man.
the GameCube, they kind of needed the money, so they're just like, all right, we can do this, but we're gonna have to cheat. And then the dark times of Nintendo happened. Evil. But now they're back into the light, so it's fine.
Yeah, conventions now. I think most conventions go out in minutes. And then, then you see the price of the tickets later. But they've been combating that too, because they'll have like your name has to be on the ticket and all this other security stuff. So
Yeah, like you can't even transfer the tickets or anything now, so
yeah,
it makes it like a scalpel.
and then like prices have gone up a lot. Like BlizzCon tickets now cost $300, I think,
What?
per person. Yeah, the prices are really high.
Prices that high. I am surprised they would make that Diablo Eternal announcement because, man, that
Yeah,
is
BlizzCon.
just like asking for a firing squad. Just unload on you.
Maybe they thought everyone was gonna have a different reaction.
Did they?
They might have. I mean, people have been playing more free-to-play stuff and mobile stuff recently. It's
On
Casual-
your phone?
the casual stuff is kind of.
Without
Multiple
controls?
Listen, you can
I'm
play
gonna play
Fortnite
it.
on your phone, so people do it. So it's not like it's not possible. And then you have people like Tropical. So it's like so there's always a market. There's always a market.
Yeah, I play a lot of phone games and spend a lot of money on them.
See, your girlfriend's one of them.
Yep.
Look at that.
Thanks
Look at that.
for admitting that. There.
You told us that last time.
I did.
Yeah, but
Oh.
Yes.
it's
Well.
even better now because she's saying it from her own mouth right in front of.
Yes, and I spend lots and lots of money on it.
Stop saying that!
It's true. I literally put money aside just to waste on that. Like, am I okay with throwing this money away? And I'm like, yes.
Yes, let the darkness flow through you.
Well, I think it's kind of the more money you make, the more money you spend.
Especially on mobile stuff, apparently.
The system works.
It does. This is why Fortnite money exists, man. Now I'm gonna go create a weird dance just so I can get it into Fortnite so I can sue them. Now I have a new life goal. Stay tuned.
Anyways, that was the last news that I have. Right? Oh no, that is not. This is the last news I have. Work has begun on the remaining episodes of Telltale's The Walking Dead,
Yay.
now being made at Skybound with some of the people who were originally working on it before Telltale Games got shut down. And which apparently is completely shut down now. Their skeleton crew and all that stuff, all gone. They're going to be announcing the release dates for the remaining 2 episodes shortly. And if you already bought the season pass, you will not have to purchase it again.
I mean,
I don't know why they said that.
I just thought
wait,
I was like, why
what?
would
Were
you
you
specify that?
considering like having people pay again?
why would you
Uh,
say that?
Yeah. And apparently, some games will be unavailable for purchase for a while as they transition or something.
I
So
was worried after they saw some of them got removed from Steam. I was like, oh no, I need to buy them all before they
yeah,
get delisted. No.
That's sad. That's just sad.
my friend, who was an associate producer on the game, apparently is not working on it. So many people who were laid off from Telltale with no severance still are
Still without.
floating around about out there.
Man. That is not good. That is most not good.
Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's the news. I've heard Fallout 76 is bad.
Oh no! Oh no! Although people
Is it
just
really bad, or is it just the thing that we said? That, like, people that want the game don't really want that game because that's not what Fallout is, and that's it. Yeah, not the thing that people that like that want. But hey, whatever.
Yeah, because I was about to say, because I've been hearing similarly bad things about Pokemon Let's Go as well. So
Well, I haven't read any of the reviews, but in my mind I was thinking, is it because now that you're not alone with Fallout, all the things you looked past before in Fallout games are like really obvious, and now it's like, oh, these are terrible.
I mean, I never really liked the Fallout games anyway. Just putting that out there, but
I know, like when I saw those low review scores, I was like finally vindicated. Finally vindicated of all the praise upon Bethesda that they did not, in my opinion, deserve. Of like, this game looks like crap, plays like crap, but oh man, it's getting a 9 because I said so.
basically,
It's so
yes.
much fun.
They're like, it's the best game you're not playing because it's garbage. It's like, well, why? I mean, why would I want this? Why do I want this in my life? But yeah, I briefly played New Vegas. I played Fallout 3 and stuff, but it was just like, I don't know. I don't understand the appeal to some of Bethesda's games, but teach his own, man. Teach his own. Because they make the Elder Scrolls games too, right? Or is that somebody else?
That's
Nope, that's them.
Yeah, I don't like those either. So, yeah. But,
Speaking
yeah.
of games you like or don't like, have any of you played The Last of Us?
Yeah, we've all
Yes.
played it. Oh no, RPG hasn't.
I haven't.
Oh yeah.
My brother loves that game.
I refuse to play it.
Tropical loves it. RPG refuses to play it, apparently.
Well, because Tropical said it's not a good game, but he enjoys it. So
No, that's not what we said. We said it's not fun.
Yeah.
You
that's the
live
same
it.
thing.
You live through it.
I don't want to play a game that's not fun and then be all stressed out about it because I'm like, oh gosh, I have to do this.
Yeah, I was about to say, like earlier, I said it makes you feel alive because it's an emotional, traumatic experience that you live through, and then you carry it with you for the rest of your life,
That kind of stuff right there.
forever.
I think it'd be even less fun for RPG because it's like the stealth parts of Uncharted.
Oh god, there's stealth in it. So yes, I
And
can play it
even
anyway.
more creepier and intensier. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I can't even play it anyway because it's stealth. So yeah, there you go. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't.
Just like that RPG, just like that. Click
Just like that. Well, I don't want to be emotionally scarred when I'm playing a game, so yeah, I'm gonna hard pass. Pass on.
We should share play the intro.
Gosh.
You'd be like, you know, look at the bleaker from the RPG. Have fun.
Oh dear.
It's like yeah, it's weird. It's sort of like the same reason you would watch a movie with the same theme. I don't think those movies are fun, but it's like, I guess it's like catharsis thing.
How is that catharsis if you're like basically destroying yourself by watching these things?
I forget how it works, but I know it's related to the word catharsis. Catharsis.
I think you just like saying catharsis.
That's all I can say.
I think
Catharsis.
it might just be a masochist is what you're thinking of. Kinda. I think that's what you're actually thinking of.
No, apparently that's about power. That's about power rolls. Catharsis is about, like...
We're not doing this tropical. We're not doing
Fine.
I apologize, people who were listening to him about to go into his weird explainy mode.
What? Nah.
Yeah. Don't be creepy. We have a guest on here.
I don't know. I think Tekken has covered the creepy factor in this.
Right, that's true. I forgot. You are Tekken. I forgot. Never mind. Carry on, Tropical. Carry on.
It's sad that he had no game to gush about this episode.
Tropical.
Those are the
gush
fun
about
ones.
just one when I can say why I've been doing this all this time.
Oh, probably
It
wouldn't
brings
have-
life to my life. I feel alive every time I grip the controller.
My assumption is she deals with that on a regular basis, so he wouldn't have had to jump in on the podcast.
But I was missing like specific sounds that we've grown accustomed to when
My mind-
Tekken is gushing about games.
I feel like he does that in his regular life too. So like, I
Actually,
imagine-
no. He's pretty quiet.
Is he really?
Yes.
Oh God! You should hear him then. Oh, it gets weird.
Wow. All right. Well, that's it. Was there other news? Did you see anything significant?
It's only Tuesday. I haven't been on the internet much, so no.
Oh, yeah, it is Tuesday.
It is.
It was Tuesday.
I did not know it was Thanksgiving week until like Sunday morning. It snuck up on me.
I had the same thing happen to Tropical.
Days work.
I was reading tweets, and then someone's tweet was like, next week, Thanksgiving. And I was like, wait, Thanksgiving's next week. And I looked at the calendar, and I was like, wait a minute, I work in retail. If Thursday's Thanksgiving, no!
No.
Yes.
That was on, like...
Oh yeah, I guess since you're currently still in retail, like, is it better this year? Do you think? Are they still making you work on Thanksgiving?
Yeah. What do you mean by is it better, Tropical?
I'm not gonna take
Well-
for Thanksgiving, so
It feels like there was a headline I saw this morning that said this has been the longest, but tamer Black Friday.
I mean, it feels like the ramping up has like taken longer, and like the like production of it has like started like sooner because like I would say last week or a week or two ago they already started playing Christmas music, and it's like no, usually that's like you don't start that until Black Friday or like Thanksgiving Day, and or like no Black Friday for sure, and it's like you can't do that, dude. That's like an armistice non-aggression pact. You can't just like overreach there. You're gonna send somebody over the edge, man, and like get us all shot up. That's not cool, man. Like we can only take so much, dude. And, like I wanted to share, but like do a whole Facebook post about it, but I didn't. So
Yeah, as a person who used to work in retail, I think that Black Friday has become meaningless because they don't even have it on Friday anymore. It's Thursday or
do
the
not.
weekend.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point? It's like you're making the workers work on these days when people are starting to go the day before or going online now because, Amazon's trying to monopolize Black Friday.
Everything.
So it's like,
all of the stuff.
and do they know where you work at?
yeah,
Walmart, oh my god. They took away holiday pay. So it's
Wait,
like,
what?
Why would you even want to work
Wait,
there now?
there's none at all now?
No, they put it into a PTO, right?
yeah.
So there's no holiday pay anymore. I'm glad I got
feel
out
like-
of that game right away.
I feel like that's not legal. Take them to court, man. Take them to court. And I know they got money. They got that Walmart money.
With how many people
So-
they fire and how many positions they get rid of, they have plenty of money.
They got that Walmart money. You would be set for life.
Well, like this week, like in the past, I've liked to go out and see the lines and stuff, but then this week, it was like it felt different. It's like it feels like we've been having Black Friday for a month. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
tons of
I got
emails.
like
It's
emails
just like,
about like Black Friday week. It's like, but it's not a week until this email. Why are
It's
you?
true.
What?
Yeah. It's like it gets earlier and earlier every year to the point where just like November will come in and be like, look at your Black Friday deals. It's like, I mean, I guess, but got like 3 more weeks to get through, but okay.
like, I sort of feel like that would be better though. You know, like if Black Friday is going to start on the Sunday before Thanksgiving, then why even have people work on Thursday and Friday? Just do the sales Monday through Wednesday or Sunday through Wednesday,
Give them
and
all.
then give everyone, all the time off for the rest of the week.
Because, Tropical, we live in America and we don't value people's sanity or health here. It's more about money. Money,
And
dear
large
boy.
corporations.
So it's not going to happen. It's one of those things where it's like many of us, because I work in hospitality, so I'm also working most holidays, if not all of them. So it's like it's one of those things where you kind of just forget you're human at a certain point and just kind of accept it. And yeah. And then as you slowly die on the inside, and you kind of wake up one day and you're like, I have no more emotions. And yeah. And then you're part of the American system now. So yay, enjoy.
Just find a job where you can take those days off. Last year I took all the major holidays off.
That would be nice.
So nice.
I mean, most government jobs do give holidays off, so you'd have to work for the government mostly for that kind of stuff here, but hard
Are
to
the
pass on.
Avengers hiring? Oh wait, they don't exist.
They aren't a thing.
I'm pretty sure they're on call 24/7, so
Also
that wouldn't work.
Also that.
Also, then you would have to work for Florida.
Ugh.
The Florida
I was about to
government.
say, I was like, so, pass on that. But yeah, I think because I think even now, because before it's like it slowly started like creeping up because it's like first they were opening up for Thanksgiving, which I don't think was a good idea to begin with. Now people are like leaving in the middle of dinner to go do these Black Friday sales. I'm like,
Yep.
guys, food, guys.
Thanksgiving is now lunch.
Basically.
And then the following, however many days leftovers. And then, well, like, I was kind of glad and kind of not. It was like, it's encroaching on Thanksgiving, which sucks, but you don't have to be working at 3 a.m. anymore and 4 a.m., which is just like a natural.
Yeah, I mean, I
But,
guess.
but then it's like, but you're working on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so it's like either way, you kind of, either way.
Really, the entertainment industry should be lobbying for more paid time off for like the country, because that's how they make more money. If we had more paid time off, we would
Sure, we could
we would
money
like
on our.
spend more money on entertainment, which costs not only money but time.
That is true. And they have plenty of time on their hands in between doing whatever it is I'm assuming they do in their spare time. So it's like they can do these things.
That's what they should lobby for. That's the way to increase their business.
That's a good idea. Somebody email the entertainment industry, please.
I don't know if they're open to good ideas, though. I tried emailing Oreos about a commercial, and they were like, we've got a team for that. No, thank you.
Oh, rude.
Right? I was like, it was a brilliant idea, okay? It would have been an amazing commercial.
See, I don't understand why they wouldn't be open. Like, I understand they have a team for that, but at the same time, your consumers are the ones buying your stuff. So it's like it would make sense if they were like, you know what, I would like to see for your commercial, and you're like, you know what, that's a good idea.
Since you're gonna steal my idea, it costs you nothing.
Exactly. And then on top of that, all I ask is free Oreos for a lifetime. And I mean, they can swing that. They make enough money.
Even if they were going to say no, they could have at least heard the idea. I mean, it was a brilliant commercial.
I believe you.
That Nabisco money.
I mean, it's not Fortnite or Walmart money, but it's pretty decent. Oreos are pretty popular.
Anyway, that was fun out here in Aimless, wandering Aimless land. Something. Rap-a-tap. Should we sign off?
Sure. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or wherever else. Aimless Babble Z, aimlesspodcast.com, or wherever our website's at now in whatever form it's in. Anything to say before you sign off, RPG?
Cat gymnastics.
Anything to say before you sign off, Tropical?
I would watch that.
Anything,
Right?
Anything to say before we sign off, waifu?
Google Oreo cow.
Okay.
Well, I'm curious now.
So yeah, until you see or hear from us again, Aimless Babble Z, and we're now signing off. Gaming will always bring life to my life force.